mighty companions. It's pretty cool. We're going out live in English on YouTube and Spanish on Facebook. So great. It's so great. We had such a beautiful sing along today. It was just wonderful. We might have another one coming up here in the next 2 weeks. It's everyone's so into trying to sing, even though there's like a delay. It's hilarious. There's like, because of the, it takes a while for the voices to go across the internet after the stream. So adorable. Everybody's just singing along. It was very fun. And then tonight we're going to have another movie. And this is just a really light, playful movie. And if you're an old movie fan, buff of old movies, this one's from 1947. And to see Cary Grant play the Holy Spirit, that is worth the ticket price. With David Niven, those two together. Really beautiful movie about, how the Spirit appears through our brother to really help us see things a whole new way, how our brother's the means given to see things a whole new way. And these joinings are so powerful. And we were just talking, about extending, how we extend, how we're guided by Jesus to extend out these teachings for us, because it's not for anyone else. It's just learning to listen and follow him. And I was looking at that video of everyone. Oh, it's so touching to hear everyone just speak about talking to Jesus. I was listening to Dennis talk about, and just the joy. You could see the joy just like radiating out of listening to that voice and the comfort. Whereas, in the play of consciousness, it would seem to be very scary. And really, that's the only way consciousness can maintain, is to make the voice for God, that the voice within of our infinite being, to be scary. We can ask Jesus. Is the only way for consciousness to continue to feel separate is through the desire for wholeness to seem like the enemy. You can ask. And it was so beautiful joining with Marguerite this morning and just hearing, because I see when he sends a brother and you really tune in, how it's for me. It's like what I needed to hear. Some things they was telling me about the sinner, and I could see to move on, turning it into a not-for-profit, and really stepping into the trust that if you give something, to move into it quickly and not wait, and that's because as soon as we delay, then the ego is just going to come in. All the no's to divinity start coming in. And we were talking about, so helpful to look at this desire for an experience of control, to seemingly to get control over the light, which is impossible. And looking so directly at the desire for dreaming, to not be happy in a dream of unhappiness. We can ask them, Jesus, will you show me the desire below my level of awareness for an experience of a dream of unhappiness? Is it a dream? And just really looking at that itch, not to see that it's a dream, just like not wanting to see it like one shred, even though we know it's a dream. So like Just want to totally avoid looking. You can ask them because we can all hear Jesus. Jesus, am I like avoiding? Is that what the big avoid is all about? Do not want to see that this is a dream. Even when we're seeing a dream, we can look. He shows us about 1,000 times. You'll start noticing. It's a dream, it's a dream, but yet the play of consciousness, wanting to make it all real. Just that, the relishing. He's really at the point of showing relishing. How we have to see it's just relished. And how helpful it is. Like Dennis was talking about, how direct this just goes right. So instead of like dealing with all those surface skirmishes, see how the ego's desire for a bunch of skirmishes on the surface play and all playing in the emotions and releasing emotions. No, it's releasing the suppression of supreme happiness and out of awareness. Now, how about that? Its desire to suppress the memory seem to knock it out of awareness. Well, we can't totally. It's impossible because it's our nature. And how, like, supreme happiness, the more and more happy coming from looking directly with him at the release those denials of the denial. to see the denial and then release it by this really rocket ship means he's giving right now for all of us. Like, as we've all talked about, you just get happier and happier these joining sessions. Everybody's jumping on the joining in the Facebook message group. It's just so good because it's such a reminder. Like, everyone's joining and they ask for a join in that group. If you're not in it, you can ask. You want to be part of it. There's a little sheet you can follow with your brother. It's very easy to talk to Jesus, exactly how to talk to him, exactly how to ask him, and your brothers can just tell you. So many beings have come with doubts about, can I really hear Jesus? But you can. He's talking to you. He got you to the circle. But it's selective hearing. It's selective. The desire for selective listening. Ask Jesus, Jesus, do I still have a desire for selective hearing you? But now we just laugh because we know he's right. We laugh when we see he's right. Oh, he's right again. Okay. And then it becomes like this really lighthearted looking with him. That's what he's bringing to us is, oh my gosh, there's so much happiness talking about this. Seeing how it's all with your brother, you just want to cuddle up, It's like, thank you, thank you. When the joining is so light and so powerful because he's showing us the exact way to look. And it was interesting. So Marguerite was telling me, like, he had her working this whole week looking at, I think it was control. And he may do that with you. He may have you just really looking and looking and looking because, as we talked about, he's pointing to where the big no's are. And where we really, 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 super really do not want the miracle. Where we relish hell over a miracle. But that level of honesty of God, as we're all seeing, that is really helpful because when that energy of the desire is released with him, where he's saying, you're not ready for a miracle yet. And it's such a good reminder. Remember when he says, and we ask him, am I ready for a miracle? And he says, no, it's only because he knows where we do not want the miracle. trying to give the miracle a boot. That's the whole play of consciousness. Ask them, Jesus, is the whole play of consciousness just give miracles the boot out of awareness? And try to control them. Jesus, we'll ask them. I love asking them that question, just checking in to be reminded. We need to be reminded the whole play of consciousness is to avoid the miracle, to deny miracles are natural. So we just ask them, Jesus, do I still have the desire to be controlling miracles? Huh? But then, we're just asking them everything. That encourages to ask everything of him. Okay, show me everywhere that I want to be controlling miracles. It's so obvious that he needs to control all the miracles. That is the direct path to supreme happiness. Boy, I didn't know. Boy, but the choice and consciousness, and I've talked about this before, but the gratitude of, he said, well, you listen to me. See what happens when we listen? As soon as we're open to listen, he's gonna point us right to what we need to see. And obviously for me, I needed to see who's in charge of the atonement, because it was that he's in charge of every miracle. And why he has to be in charge of every miracle. And that prevents the egoic play from co-opting his plan. How we love to try to get control of that miracle, which is an excuse not to talk to him. I can ask him, Jesus, am I playing like I can't talk to you? Because we want to be in control. The we, the I, the play of consciousness is all about control and suppression of miracles. So he's just really bringing into awareness that honing in and the specificity, and we just see it with mighties. And it's going to get even clearer as you're going through chapter 20 with them. God, beautiful joining. I'm so grateful. Beautiful joining this morning with Russell and Julia. Because you see, it's for me, seemingly about chapter 20 and how to go about chapter 20 together. And to really have that faith and that trust that if he's bringing you to look at chapter 20, he's going to come through in the most powerful way through both of you, through that pairing, because he's making the choices. He's selecting the beings that are being paired. We ask and we pray on it. And it's beautiful because a lot of times we join with the beings and they're going, yep, I'm hearing that's my partner. They might even not know that seemingly being. But we're getting so tuned in together to the Christ, the one, that we're really starting to hear things together, right on point. Which is his point exactly. The Supreme Happiness, hashtag Supreme Happiness Club here. So so as you're starting to do chapter 20 together, Jesus, yeah, yes, he says he wants to talk about it. So I guess we'll all hear from you. Okay. What do you want to say about that? Yeah, he says there's so much love in that. I can feel it. So much love. Because it just looking directly in this way at those desires, just it's holy. And he's saying an extremely valuable use of time. It's so holy because he's teaching everything in the course. like with laser focus. One, he's in control of the miracles, and that's supreme happiness when he's in control of all the miracles. Because then we don't lollygag, right? We're seeing that. We don't lollygag up there. He's going to show, okay, because the number of times and the beings, all the beings, we can all see this too. The number of time we think it's one thing, well, I'm upset and blah, 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 blah. I'm never upset for the reason I think that thing right there. And then when you go, okay, Jesus, what do I need to see? Like, what desire is below this? And, how many times are we seeing now that we're not even in the ballpark at all with what we need to see? And then he delivers it, boom. you know, but he gets us right back on point and what to see that way and what needs to be released, what the real issue is, and how he's talking to each being so specifically. Look at this right here. So that's what he's talking about, just like be in that prayer and that welcoming, and he will be there. That's everyone's having that experience, and as we've talked about before, it always starts like, well, I'm not sure I can hear Jesus. And then you just hear the next second, it's the Jesus download. I'm not sure I can hear him. I don't hear anything at all. And it's like, all of a sudden, it's like it pours out. And so he's saying number 2 is really that the listen and speaking. And just know he's going to tell you exactly how to go through that chapter. Exactly. Like we've given some general guidelines, but it's like riding a bike, he's holding the back and you're kind of balancing it first. And now, if you haven't done any joining before using the joining worksheet, it's a good idea to do that a couple of times before you start chapter 20 with a buddy. But most of the beings here have been jumping joins. We call it jumping join with the worksheet. But really, if you haven't jumped the joins, jump a couple of joins so you can really learn how you can tune into him with your brother. So he's teaching specifically how to join. How joining is the most powerful thing given by him for spiritual awakening. It's just, you can see how beings are talking about having those experiencing where everything just disappears. No me, no you. But it's never frightening. I mean, fear may rise a little bit, but he's really teaching how gentle, the gentleness, and how to look without fear. So if you're not sure who to join with or not sure about joining, you can text us here. And that's what we're here for, supporting. We're just here for us to speak to Jesus. And whenever a brother joins with us, it's a perfect opportunity for us to practice. See? Okay, so then we already know this part. We're really listening and then speaking what he's telling you, what he's showing you to see. So whenever something comes out of our mouth in this light training, it's always for us to see. See, there's no other. He's showing me I need to look at this. But somehow, miraculously, you'll see it's for the whole, because what your brother will say will come right to you from him. And it's just so, as we've been seeing from the joinings. What else would you like to share about chapter 20? Take your time, he says. Just take your time with me. The most important, it's the relationship with your brother and with him, the holy relationship, the conversation. So it's very contemplative. It's a contemplative, it's not a discussion. He's saying no discussion, no metaphysics. It's, Jesus, what are you telling me about this? What do I need to see? Do I still have this desire below my level of awareness? And if you do, just admit it. Okay, I admit I do. Okay, Jesus, will you help me see through it? And as Dennis is pointing out, if you're really willing to keep asking him, you know, it'll seem, you'll feel it come up, the experience, then ask him again, have I clear, is there anything I need to see on this thing? So that you're really fully with him and letting him show you all the layers on these things. The big fat nose that go way down there. All the way. And keep going till he says you're done looking at that. Even if it takes you, you know, the ego just I don't want to take 3 months on this. It's the most valuable use of time. Just ignore that. It's easier to do it more thoroughly. He says, yes. Much easier if you do it much, because the ego is going to want to, as we've talked many times, the acute hearing for the ice cream truck. And you'll find your mind's going to drift. It's going to, you'll be thinking that you're really looking at the desire, and suddenly you're in Aruba on the beach. But just bring the mind gently back, and just go, okay, Jesus, help me. Because then he'll work with you. You can work with him on the mind wandering. You'll see the avoidance. Ask him, Jesus, is mind wandering avoidance? Is it avoidance of really deep looking? Yes, it is. He says the ego acts like that's a small thing. That's not a small thing. It's not like a little tiny twig that seems innocent. It's actually miscreation. He says it's miscreation. And I'm asking, he says there's tremendous unhappiness under that. I understand. He's showing that to me directly. How much unhappiness, just pure unhappiness and mind wandering. You can ask him, Jesus, is there a lot of unhappiness? It actually leads into terror. So just gently come back and go, okay, I need help with you, obviously, on that. If you feel resistance coming up, just say, Jesus, I feel a desire for an experience of resistance. Help me. Like we've been talking about the pre-miracle to the miracle. It's not really a pre-miracle, but you can see where you don't want to look. And that's really good when you start seeing where you do not want to look, because that's what he's showing us. Here's where I do not want to look. And then you can admit it. It's like with your partner, just say, boy, I don't want to look at this, not one shred. Sometimes it's helpful just to say it, see, and admit we don't want to look. And then you can ask them, okay, Jesus, can I have a miracle on not wanting to look at all? Not one shred, but now we're getting into you can just start to feel that no energy rather than going up the tree into the emotions and the objective experience. You're really in the relishing. I'm asking him about that. I said to Jesus, like the faster we get to how much we relish it. He goes, yep, that's it. Because then how many times, I might even search and yeah, he says, that's a good thing to do. Search that book and see how many times he says what we relish about the ego. Because until we really see how much we relish the no to God, relish the dream, like want it more than God, when you get into the point where he's really able to show you in the play, But it's helpful. He's saying this is really helpful. How much we want the dream more than God. The love that will be freed. Because then we can no longer deny the miscreation. We can no longer deny that we do not want an experience of supreme happiness. And then it's looking in the book, as he's saying, he's reminding me, and follow me. We have to follow him. We cannot, I'm going to say it again, cannot be an armchair Jesus. I want it to be an armchair Jesus. The eye wants to play. But what it really is, by not going out in it's denying the holy encounters opportunities. See, that's what the ego is going to do. It has that false sense of little domain around, especially around a little house and a little garden, and and it won't. It's gonna, that's where my safety lies. I'm just asking him if he's sending everybody out on assignment, and he's saying yes. Okay. Out of the comfort zone of the ego. Because then, unless we do that and follow that prompt, he cannot arrange time and space. Because it's saying no. When we say no to the prompt, we're saying no to Jesus for arranging time and space. It's like, Jesus, you're asking me to jump off a cliff, because that's what it feels like to the ego. But Jesus knows there's no jumping off a cliff. Who's jumping off? But in the play of consciousness, it feels like when you get a prompt and you get all the objections, and smoke starts rising, like you're going over the edge. You got to ignore all that. Join with the mighty, hear them really clearly, and then go. Anyway, because then we're siding with strength instead of the armchair. I don't want to go out. And I've said, so many, and it's a reminder for me. It's like not for anybody else, for me to be reminded. Like I was talking about, Marguerite was saying, well, I might come, but, I've never traveled by myself. And I don't want to do it. You got to ignore that. Get on a plane if he tells you someplace to go. And for this being obviously needed travel, because as I mentioned, he was sending, and I'm not saying that's for everyone. You just have to hear your own prompts. But again, it won't be inside your house and, just reading books on the course. It's extension. It's outside the comfort zone of his ego. And then he, sends you out. And as I've said, the number of holy encounters, because I could see myself in the play of consciousness flying from Tiruvannamalai, well, actually Chennai, up to, forget where, Rishikesh, where you fly. Doesn't matter. But, and being tentative about talking to someone of Jesus and kind of hearing that. And then what are we talking about? Jesus on the plane. Or flying to Bali and, finding those two beings on the beach, being sent to Dream Beach, which is really a sense of humor of Jesus, sitting down right in the sand, and the two girls next to me, what we talk about? Spirituality, like right there on the beach, and then getting lost on the motor scooter somewhere on an island in Bali, and another being, and going to Jerusalem without like, what am I doing here? Bawling my eyes out. I've told that story too. In that hotel going, I don't want to travel by myself, Jesus. I just don't. What am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing. And in 15 minutes of following, I'm sitting in front of the tomb opening. Now, come on. He's going to make it obvious. He had to make it that obvious to me. Had a mighty companion that followed the Holy Spirit, who took me right to the tomb garden where Jesus was wanting me to go in the prompt. And yeah, so we have to go. And I can see the tentative thing is just such a perfect reflection in Jerusalem, because I could hear from Jesus to go find Solomon. Now, Solomon was this mighty companion, introduced me to Solomon. He was like a shopkeeper. If you've ever seen the old city of Jerusalem, it's like the Maze Runner. If you've ever seen that thing, how that looks, that's how that city. There must be 2,000 little shops, all that look the same in a maze in the old city of Jerusalem. And she had taken me somewhere in there to find Solomon, and I could hear, okay, now you're going to go back and talk to Solomon about the Quran. Like, that's my assignment. But the first day I went, I was so tentative, it was like, I don't know where I'm going in here. Then, okay, the second day it's like, okay, Jesus, I'm gonna, somehow I'm gonna find him. Now that's trust, because it's amazing there, and she wasn't around anymore. I think she had already left. So now here I am, just heading, not sure. I kind of had a rough idea, but I just, it looks the same to me. So I'm like heading down one of the little maze runner rows, and I'm just pausing there, just going, what am I going to do? And there's this guy right there. He goes, hey, you looking for something? I said, and I'm thinking to myself, there's no way, like, no way he's going to know, but okay. I said, well, I'm looking for Solomon. He goes, oh, I worked for Solomon for 10 years. And by the way, his brother's shop is 4 doors down from here. So like his brother out of the shop takes me right over to Solomon. It's like, now, really, that is only a Jesus time and space rearrangement. But without, like, I could see if I had an idea about going Jerusalem, there's some prompts I didn't take. Like he wanted me to go to Bethlehem. I see that more clearly now. But it was tentative, right? When we're tentative, and I was afraid to ride the bus by myself again, But he works with you again. But he's just making it clear, and then you can ask him. It's really helpful. Jesus, where was I listening and where was I not listening to you? Because when you talk to him about where you're not listening to him and have that conversation, then he can teach you because he'll show you where the no was, what that was, where were you holding on to some piece of personal identity rather than listening. Rather than listening to our own voice for happiness and infinite peace. Well, without the, like, and the beings would talk about that at Living Usually. You're going to let's all jump off a cliff. And I was thinking, I'm not jumping off any. What are you talking? Oh, I know where this is headed. So we want God to go first. You go first, Jesus. If he does that, he goes first by giving us the prompt. We go first by saying yes and doing it and taking and ignoring, because that's how we accept our divinity. Now, what the ego wants to do is then want to negotiate. Well, Jesus. We want to go in there. We want to negotiate to be less than we are with him. You can ask him, Jesus, do I sometimes want to negotiate with you for a better deal or to be less than I am? That's the play. and how about the Sunday? He's really teaching me about timing on prompts too. It's a good idea, and that's for me. It's always for me what I need to hear. It's always a good idea to ask him, and when would you like that, Jesus? Because I could see, to hear because you'll hear a prompt like, he's getting really acute. No wiggle room, no wiggle room. But it's divine expression. We don't want wiggle room for divinity expression because you can see that little delay when it gives you assignment. Well, how about 15 minutes from now? No, it's a now prompt. This is what divine expression looks like right now. So it's good to ask them, Jesus, you want me to do that like right now or 15 minutes? He might give you a time. Let's do it then he does that. And you start seeing how helpful that is. Because then the effort starts falling away because you just ask them, okay, what day am I going on and what day am I coming? That was handy for Boston. Mm-hmm. Jesus. So, okay, how many days am I going for? Okay, 7. What day am I going? Okay. See, and it gets faster. Like I remember going to Sweden and it took a couple of, because, okay, what day? And I heard it was Wednesday, but then you kind of whinge on it. I still went on Wednesday and the time rearrangements were off the chain. But, it just gets faster. You just kind of relax back and go, okay, how's this working? Okay, you want me to go this? And then I could see, and I'm getting ready to get the plane, get the flight. Jesus, where do you want me to seat? And he's flexible. He's certain things. But it's helpful just to ask him down to the seat. What seat am I sitting in? And then you don't have to give another thought to it. And then you can just rest. And then the experience is, then you start letting them take over everything. Which is his function. You can ask him, Jesus, is it your function to just take over everything? And I can just rest and hear him. It says, until you see that we're one. That is so much happiness saying that. Oh my God. See that you're one with him, really. It's not some kind of alien. But the play of consciousness is to treat Jesus like an alien. Because that's the only way consciousness can play. The only way we can have a dream is to dream that an alien's coming to get us, being God, rather than seeing simply that we are God. God's here, infinite light. So yeah, I guess that's the message he's given for me. Night, you gotta, if I give you a prompt, now that you can start hearing me clearly. If you're not sure that you hear him, then jump a join. And really trust your brother, what your brother's hearing on it. Jesus is Jesus given. And I can see that movement in these joining sessions more and more toward really hearing the prompts that he's given us clearly. But it's helpful, and I've talked about that too when I was going to buy this place. And because I could hear the prompt to find something on the lake. And it was really helpful. I can't remember exactly what it was. I think it was the price and so we had like eight mighties sitting in a circle. And we had done some, looking. And then they all had a notepad. And I just asked them, okay, what do you think about whatever it was? I think it was the price or something like that. or what to do. Did I move forward or hold, or because I did several joinings on that. And it was just miraculous what was coming in on every piece of paper, what to do, and how it was very similar to what I had heard. See, and then that was the reinforcement. When you have mighties that are so willing to be true, they're not getting buffeted by the winds of consciousness, and that you go to those mighties, because as soon as the ego gets in a tough spot, what it wants to control, it's not going to go to the mighty companions and join, the ones that are so clear. It's going to go and hunt everywhere else, but with the mighty that's going to support Jesus. That's a reflection in the mind. That's just the clue. So the clue is that you will not join. You know for sure that you're following the ego. I'm asking Jesus, yes, 100%, if you're unwilling to join with the mighty about it, so that you both can hear it. Then you know you're following the ego, because you'll both hear it. He's saying yes. Because there's not more than one Jesus. There's only one Jesus. And you'll also find you'll want to go make your plans without joining. You want to go off and make the plans and then come in and announce what you did. That's how we do to Jesus. See, we go off and make the plans, and then we kind of keep Jesus informed. Ask him, do I like to go off and make my plans and then kind of tell you what happened and beg him to help dig you out? He knows. But he's really translating everything for us so directly about how consciousness plays. And I'm grateful for it. So thank you, Jesus. Straight shot. Keep joining, he says. If you have questions about chapter 20, it's sounding like a lot of the pairs are just jumping on board with each other. If you're new to the YouTube channel, because most of the beings here have been watching a while, and we don't know all the beings who are watching on YouTube or through the Spanish channel. We're working on chapter 20 in Spanish. And if you know a little English or know enough English and you want to join with a Spanish Mighty Companion, that's really helpful, so that they can start chapter 20. Just let us know. We'll pair you. We'll ask Jesus. Jesus is doing the pairing. Or go on the WhatsApp group. If you're not on the WhatsApp group, because if you speak Spanish, the WhatsApp group, everyone speaks Spanish on. You can text us for that. Or if you know Dyra, ask her or text her. She'll get you on WhatsApp. So we'll just take a few minutes break, 15 minutes. We'll come back, get your jammies on, in your pillow. We're going to get our jammies on. And then we'll come back and watch the Bishop's Wife with Jesus and let him show us the desire for experience, not to listen to the Holy Spirit. See you in a few minutes. Namaste.